Hi, I'm Vaishali Shah, founder and creative director of Creative ID and Ananya Cards. At Creative ID, we help businesses get noticed by the right people for the right reasons. We create brands that people believe in, online, in print, and on social. And at Ananya Cards, we design exclusive stationery for life's most important celebrations, blending personality, culture, and craftsmanship in every detail. Today, I'm joined by Lekha Menon, a seasoned print and digital journalist with experience across the UAE and India, to explore how media, films, and pop culture shape the stories we tell. I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Vaishali. Great to be here. I'm Lekha, and I'm a journalist with over 20 years of experience. I worked in very leading newspapers in the UAE as well as in India, beginning my career with the Times of India, then moving on to newspapers like Hindustan Times, TNA, moved to the UAE, worked with magazines. I write for Khaleej Times, and currently I'm a film reviewer, freelance journalist. I write for UK publications, and I also work as a content consultant.
Fantastic, you do a lot. Lovely, lovely to have you here. So let's start. I've got some questions for you. You've seen Dubai's media landscape evolve firsthand. How has the shift from traditional media to social platforms and streaming changed the way stories are told today?
I wouldn't like to isolate Dubai's media in a way because it's actually following the global shift, which is less print, more digital. Unfortunately, I'm a print person, so I'm a huge supporter of the print media, and I love newspapers. I like the feel of magazines. But times have changed, and Dubai is following the same pattern. It's always social first. But in terms of a shift, I think a lot of people are very quick to write the obituary of old-fashioned journalism and writing and print, but not so soon. Because what's happening now is that obviously you get your news first. The channels may have changed, but to verify that and to get a deeper perspective and analysis, you still turn to traditional media. So your Instagram might give you a full line news about something, but to know the why, where, what happens next, you have to shift and you have to refer to a more, a deeper analysis, and that can be provided only by traditional and legacy media. So in terms of credibility, yes, legacy media, newspapers and news channels are still alive, thriving. Where the challenge comes is to negotiate that and to translate that for a new audience who are on social. So that's the challenge the world over the media is facing, and pretty much similar in the UAE as well, which is very heavily socially influenced. So that's the main shift.
Lovely. So that's interesting. So really you're trying to cater to everybody,
Yes.
the younger, let's say the generation that's social media first,
That's
as
right.
well as the traditional. But it seems from what you're saying is that both have an important part to play. The four
Both
lines
have-
on social, but then you need to read the
So
other.
both have an equally important role to play. Not many realize that. But yes, what gets faster is social, obviously. So for any traditional media to stay relevant, has to be social first, digital first. Think that, and then do not forget the principles of the old-fashioned news writing or feature writing, old-fashioned news gathering, basically. Information has to be provided. It has to be verified, clarified, so on and so forth. Those things will never go out of fashion. But what you need is to be very, very agile, to really reach out to an audience that's very impatient.
Yes, yes. And I think as somebody running my business for 25 years, agility is a word I often use as well, about moving with the times,
Right.
Embracing what's current and also the future. So I think that is an important quality for people in business.
Absolutely. And with AI coming in, it's a whole different conversation. Then this conversation will not end. So that's going to be a challenge. We are still to feel the impact. But we will soon, very, very soon. And how media shapes up to meet those challenges, we have to wait and watch.
I'm sure if I interview you in a year's time, it's going to be a different
It's going to be a
landscape.
different answer, I can tell you that.
Thank you. Do you think films and pop culture actively shape how we think, or do they simply reflect what society already feels and believes?
This is a bit of a chicken and egg situation. and I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, in the sense that films or pop culture definitely take from society, but they give it back in a very different form, which is then adopted by society. So what you see, the stories are around us, are basically reflected on our screens. And it's all very region and country specific. Like, say, for instance, we are here in the Middle East, and we need stories that are of people, of things, of events around us. We resonate with that more. So in that sense, yes, stories and pop culture, films especially, definitely do take inspiration from real life. But what they do is they add that extra layer, and layer through, it just gets a lot more louder sometimes. A lot of imagination is added, a lot of creativity added, and that becomes a new trend or a new story on its own, which then influences another section of the public. So it works both ways, but yes, the impact of pop culture and films on society's psyche cannot be, stated enough, because definitely we are surrounded by information, and we take a lot of our, our day-to-day interactions, conversations, our music, the way we react to things that we have watched sometime, So yes, definitely, I think the impact of society on society is more.
And would you have any examples? You talked about music, maybe fashion, any other kind of examples?
Let's talk about weddings, for instance. The impact of films and its music. I'm talking this as a Bollywood film writer. I review films. So, we are a very musical lot, so to say. Where do our songs come from? It's not the typical classical traditions. We draw our music from pop culture, which is in this case Bollywood films. And even in terms of what books and everything have been written, we come up with lines that we have heard from what we see. So yeah, in terms of weddings, and also in terms of sometimes, popular shows, we immediately refer to characters, our favorite characters, and we react, oh, how would she or he have reacted in that situation? So obviously these are all examples of pop culture and films impacting our day-to-day interactions.
Very interesting, thank you. And you write for different publications with different tones. How do you keep your own voice while meeting each platform's expectations?
The thing is, as a journalist, essentially you have to keep your own voice a little on the side. Your first job is to report and is to write facts in a way that is understood by a large section of society, because obviously you're reaching out to a larger audience. You're not writing for yourself, you're writing for a publication. Different publications have a different tone. So obviously, let's say you're writing for a magazine, a fashion magazine, it can be more, the writing style will change, but naturally. So I'll be asked to write it more descriptive, more flowery language, more, go into details. But let's say if the same report is being written for a newspaper, and a newspaper reader or a person on social media coming up with, reading the news on, say, Instagram, for instance, he or she doesn't have that time. It's like only a few second attention span. So how do you grab that attention of that particular person? So you will use those words, shorter sentences. So these are some technicalities of writing as well. So you cannot write long 50, 60 word sentences, for a very simple example that I'm giving you. Then, as you asked about the tone for different publications, some people or some newspapers and magazines, they prefer a slightly conservative tone. So you can't use slang. You can't just use Gen Z language in that. You have to be a little more careful. And all this is defined by audiences. So if, just like for any product or any businesses, media also has its own target audience, as you know. So there may be channels, there might be magazines, there will be websites and social media channels that are targeting very young audience. Their language is different. Their reference points are different. So the same point can be explained in 5 different ways to 5 different people. And that's a challenge too, and that's how I try to do wherever I study the platform first and foremost. I try to understand their audience. Then I understand their tone of voice. If it's finance, if it's business, and obviously it has to be more serious. If it has to be entertainment, and entertainment not in a deep dive cultural context and all that, just light entertainment, obviously the language will be lighter. So you tweak the language as per the audience of the publication. And that's a skill that I have acquired over the last many years, writing for different publications, not just sticking to the same style or the same magazine style. So that's how I do it.
And that's an important skill to have and
Indeed.
to adapt. Have you found that, I know you said you have to be objective and kind of put yourself aside. Have you, this is a personal question, have you had to write an article that perhaps you didn't agree with, or something that later on you regret writing, or it's a job and you've been given this task and you'll write it, even if, let's say, your views may differ?
Sometimes I think every journalist has had to go through that experience. You may not exactly agree with a person or with a concept, but then, well, there are requirements of, say, advertisers, for instance. And yeah, it's a job. So at times you do tend to, like keep your personal biases or views aside. But whatever you write, you have to be objective. Now, you cannot lie outright. Let's say if I didn't like a film, for instance. Now, just because there's pressure, I wouldn't say that, no, I love it. I can't. In such a situation where I can't, extract myself out of that dilemma is basically trying to be as objective as possible and not bringing my personal views. So if there is something, it could be a product, it could be an event, it could be anything that's happening around me and I'm expected to write about it, I can report it and I can write about it the way it is without adding any extra layer to it. So yeah, sometimes you do have to keep your biases and your views aside because these are the facts of the matter.
And you probably have pressure on yourself because your reviews are so important because that can I don't say make or break, but it's certainly going to influence somebody, whether they see that film, whether they go to that new restaurant launch, whether they purchase that product. Are you ever kind of aware of that, or you'll focus on the objectivity and it doesn't matter kind of what the impact is? Or?
To be very honest, I don't think reviews impact people's decisions so much. The curiosity will lead them to try it on their own, be it of a restaurant, be it of a gadget, be it of a film or a work of art. And also, fortunately or unfortunately, I must say, we live in an era where information is free. There's so much information. A person with a social media account can be a reviewer. You say, try an attraction in a city, and I might say, oh, it's a lousy attraction. It's nothing, new about it. Somebody else might enjoy it, have a great experience. So his or her viewpoint would be drastically different from mine. Now, if you are reading it, you'll read two diametrically opposite views and you would be tempted to try it yourself. So it's the same with works of art, especially, which is very subjective. I think what people should understand is if it's a review, it is bound to be subjective. And when it is subjective, it is impacted by the person's own likes and dislikes. Like, for instance, when I write about restaurants, sometimes I really wonder, okay, there are certain flavors and tastes that I enjoy. If a particular dish has that, I will love it. But what if that flavor is not enjoyed by some other person? Does that mean that the dish is bad? No, not really. So how do you review and how do you pass a judgment? So best thing would be to make it, at least that's what I try to do in my reviews, be it of anything, especially movies, because that's what I do a lot. I try to present it in saying that, okay, these are the facts of the movie, this is what I agree with, but never say that watch it or don't watch it. Watching it, not watching it, patronizing it, not patronizing it is your opinion. It's your choice, rather. I give my opinion. If you agree with my opinion, you may not enjoy it, and you may choose, okay, not to watch it. But yes, I have had people telling me, oh, after I read your review, we decided not to watch it. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Watch it, decide for yourself. Maybe there are some elements that you may enjoy that I didn't, and vice versa.
Very interesting.
But decide for yourself is what I would say. Don't just go, but read, definitely read. We write so that you read.
Yes, very interesting. And as you said, sometimes if you have written something that you didn't particularly enjoy, somebody else, even out of curiosity, may want to see it. Oh, what does she mean by that?
Yeah.
Do I agree or disagree? So,
that's right.
As you said, there's two sides. Very interesting. Thank you. So you cover cinema, lifestyle, travel, and celebrity culture. What connects these worlds for you, and what makes a story worth covering?
For me, personally, it's the human aspect. I love the human part of storytelling, which is why I'm more inclined to write about people, about trends because it all involves, people who have made a difference. So even the number of celebrity interviews that I have conducted over the years, I like people who tell good stories. So even a journalist is a storyteller. How you process information around you, how you weave in the quotes and the opinions and the insights of the experts that you meet and put it all together in a nice, in a very coherent way. That's what interests me the most. And all these subjects that you mentioned, I love writing about these topics, be it cinema, art, F&B, hospitality, because there's a certain warmth to these. They're not, you can be as subjective as possible. They are not, very clinical. It's not about technology and, very data driven or numbers. There you have to be cut and dry. Here I can add my own color, and that's what I enjoy the most about all these topics, because I can add my little bit of my own color, my personality through when I write about, say, a place, a beautiful city that I have visited. It brings back memories. I can add my memories to it. So as a writer, these topics give me a lot more freedom to express myself, rather than, say, writing a very dry business report, for instance, because that's business, those are numbers, that's statistics. But here, when you write about people especially, I'll enjoy writing about people, not just celebrities, anyone who's interesting. It's nice to know their story and put it together in a very colorful, engaging tone and reach them and highlight their work or their opinions to a new audience. So it's that human aspect of the storytelling and the fact that I can add my own, I can express myself better through these topics, which is what connects all these topics to me.
And I love that. I think especially in this kind of AI world, adding your human touch is irreplaceable.
Yes,
adding that warmth.
I hope so. I hope that we are not replaced.
Yes, I think that's really important. So I'll ask you, is there anyone that you would love to interview that you haven't, whether it's celebrity or non, but somebody who has a story that you feel you'd love to discuss?
Oh, so many actually, right? I would love to interview Kate Winslet. I think she's just so real, and I love the way she comes across. She in a very make-believe and a world that has, and she's talked about, beauty and accepting yourself way before these terms actually became fashionable. So definitely one of the celebrities I would love to interview. And oh my God, so many of them, right?
Or a destination?
Oh, way too many. Way too many. I think I've still not gone to Switzerland. Maybe I'm influenced by those Bollywood movies of the 90s, where those songs and DDLJ, etc. So
I was going to say, as a Bollywood reviewer and Bollywood enthusiast, how can you not have been to Switzerland?
Exactly. So that's on my bucket list. And I don't know, somehow I just ended up. I mean, I did not visit it for some odd reason. I've made many plans, but it never materialized, hopefully soon. So that's one destination that comes to mind immediately.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how, once you do visit, how whether you're influenced by what you've seen already.
That's again the example of films influencing your desires, aspirations as well.
Yes, lovely. So Bollywood has always had an impact on celebrations. From your perspective, how is cinema shaping modern weddings in this region? I know we touched on it, but is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yes, a lot, because I've written extensively about weddings, because weddings are a huge lifestyle statement, and now it's just not about two families and all, especially with South Asian weddings. Let's admit it, we have literally taken over the world in terms and shown how to celebrate a wedding. Yes, this whole big fat wedding, according to me, is an influence of Bollywood, especially among South Asian families. My memory goes back to, I'm sure as does yours, in the 1994 movie. I think it was released in 1994. Hum Aapke Hai Kaun, right? It really set the tone, which showed people that, wow, weddings can be this spectacular, this much fun, so many colors, and so OTT. So, and that has only increased. This is one industry that has not scaled down. It's scaling up, up, and up. So definitely Bollywood has played a huge role. This whole thing about, I can see again, bringing a bit of a personal anecdote here. I'm a South Indian, And we have very different customs and traditions as compared to, say, a Punjabi wedding, for instance. And what do I see these days when I go to South India? It's a Bollywood song that's being played. There are these elements from a typical Punjabi wedding that has made their way, to the South Indian, like a typical Malayali wedding, which is, I'm like, wow, when did we start dancing like this, or did we start having functions like these? So the 3-4 day celebrations, and mostly fashion. Like, most bride are referring to Bollywood brides. Designers are are designing for Bollywood, which then comes back to society. So I think it's a huge fashion statement. It's the way Bollywood has contributed to the fashion industry, the wedding fashion industry. I think there should be a study done on it, just to see, this particular color, that particular cut, this bride. It's you can just see it all around you. So that's the biggest impact of Bollywood on weddings. It can't be understated now again.
Yes, and we see that, isn't it, in the media when there's been a celebrity wedding, then straight away the designers are going to say, well, it's going to be this look, it's this color, this entertainment. They've definitely taken inspiration.
And also the songs, say the bride and the groom dancing to their pre-wedding videos or the wedding videos. They are dancing to what? Bollywood songs. They're doing those steps. So any wedding that you see these days, you cannot miss the influence of Bollywood. I don't know how it is in the Western wedding, not so much. No, I don't think we've had wedding movies, of course, in Hollywood, but they've not influenced society. But here, it's just the opposite. If there is a big fat wedding sequence or a wedding film in Bollywood, you see that in the season of the weddings. I mean,
Yes. I'm agreeing,
right?
Completely. And I'd like to just go back to one of your points about now the Bollywood movie feeling the vibe. For example, when you go back home, do you feel then that the local culture may be losing a little bit, and kind of Bollywood Punjabi that's kind of coming in? And is it that the local culture and local traditions may now not be there, or that's life in society and times?
See, what happens is that, yes, definitely it's impacting the local culture, it's diluting it. But I think couples and even the younger generation is very smart. They take the best of all worlds. So yes, they may stick to certain traditions that are very valued and handed down generations and generations, but they will embellish it with the things that they see outside. And there's nothing wrong in that, to be honest. If you're a purist, yes, you would definitely feel, okay, what's happening to our weddings or our customs and our traditions? But if you're a little more open-minded, why not welcome what is good and what is fun? And who's to decide what is fun and what is not? So yes, traditions will be impacted and, as I say, a bit diluted as well. But so long as you don't lose the core of the feelings and the emotions, that should not be sacrificed. Having said that, yes, I do believe the Bollywoodification, if I may say that, of every aspect of society, be it festivals, be it food, be it everything, especially in our culture, in the South Asian culture, Bollywood makes its way. We cannot think of a celebration without Bollywood, which is, I think, it's a bit odd. You should have a life and you should have your, the way you conduct say ceremonies or anything, for instance, think beyond Bollywood. There's a lot of other, Bollywood is not culture, Bollywood is part of culture, but now we have made Bollywood to be the culture. So this is where it has actually worryingly impacted is the folk arts and folk traditions. Those things are like slowly being, not forgotten, but definitely hugely on the back burner, where Bollywood taking precedence over everything. If there's an event, there has to be a Bollywood star. If there is a sporting spectacle, Bollywood comes and dances there. Why? Why can't we just leave Bollywood the way it is, or anything, film related? But I think in our part of the world, in India, I think even in Pakistan and all the South Asia essentially, this has really overtaken, Bollywood has overtaken everything else, which I think it depends on how you look at it, and you have to see the context of each element.
Thank you. So modern weddings are increasingly influenced by social media and global trends. What's one shift you've noticed in how couples plan their celebrations because of this?
So during my research for the stories that I have been, I've had a chance to talk with a lot of experts, and one thing is that it's even the emotions have to be displayed on social media, which I personally find, maybe I'm old-fashioned, I find it a bit odd. It's not just about putting your picture out there. You have to know how that picture impacts others. And this whole chasing virality is a little, I think couples are going a little overboard with that. Pre-wedding shoots, it's just gone to another level, for instance. And what are these wedding shoots? They're essentially for social media. So they are crafting celebrations and even the smallest of elements and personalizing it and making it Insta-friendly. And one of the trends, I'm sure you would vouch for it, is this social media, wedding content creator. So a content creator who goes around with a phone. I think it might be a bit intrusive, right? Your most personal moments. I'm sure they're doing a great job of it, but still, so why would you want such personal moments to be just out there? Which is okay, it can be fun, great content, as I say, but sometimes it might just take away the emotions. Like, can you actually feel and can you cry and laugh when you know that you're being filmed? I don't know.
Like, I completely agree with you. As a stationer running Ananya Cards, I get brides asking me when I say, how should we design your stationery? It's very bespoke. I'm all about personalization. I'll often get asked, I want it to be Instagram worthy.
Yeah, there you go.
When you do design the signage, Vaishali, I want people to be able to take photos of it. When you design the menus and you have the tassels and you have the hand calligraphy, I want people to be photographing it. Rather than, well, I love this color, I like this, and this is a personal statement of who we are, and this is what's important to us. It's very much about what's going to look good on Instagram. And I see that more and more of couples wanting that. What's good for the gram? What's good for the grid? So, I know I kind of have views of you're getting married and your union versus everything being public, and how, I know the word authentic is overused, but actually, are you being authentic? Are you crying? Are you, those emotions which are real? This is such an important day of your life, something you may have been planning for years, that important celebration. Are you sharing that? Or actually, are you sharing what you would like to have shown?
Actually, more than authentic, I would like to use the word organic. I mean, you have some moments in your wedding, or you have created or you have designed your special moments in such a way that it looks beautiful. And if, well, by chance it goes quote unquote viral, or it appeals or it resonates with a lot of people, great. But when you are, planning something with the intention of making it liked and shared by, say, millions of people, that's inorganic, and that's not truth. That's a lie that you are actually, it's like directing a film. You have a story and then you're filling in your characters and acting and all that. But life is not a film. It's your life. Why would you want to do that? Create original and organic moments and then put it out there. For sure, put it out there. But to what extent will you tweak it to make it, suitable for the gram and not suitable for you?
Exactly. And you talked about originality, which I think is also very important.
Yes.
Because if you're taking inspiration from Bollywood, are you copying it from Bollywood?
Yeah.
Are you interpreting it?
Yeah.
Are you trying to put your own twist on it? What's important to you as a couple? Or are you just copy and paste? Or are you just following a Pinterest board?
Yes.
It's again, what is you in it? I always say, your wedding stationery is a personal statement of the couple. That's why I love monograms, because it's the initials intertwined. It's what is meaningful for you. I asked lots of questions. But is that what's important? Or is it, well, we want to be, like this, but the latest Bollywood film?
Yeah. I think you have more experience in this regard, but the way I look at things and what I observe from those around me, definitely it's about creating moments that will be talked about, and that will be like a show off. It's to flaunt, be it your outfit, be it your makeup, and every single thing. Sometimes the groom gets left behind because all the attention is on the bride and the look. It's all about fashion, looks. It's not about that emotion. But I guess to each his own, and who are we to judge again?
Yes, but it puts pressure, don't you think?
Of course, a lot of pressure. Poor things. Good luck to the brides.
Yes. Yeah, lovely. Well, I've really enjoyed our discussion today, Lekha. Lots of things to think about. And when I see my next movie, I'm going to be thinking about the reviewer behind it.
Yes, as someone who's actually analyzed it.
Exactly. And the next wedding that that I attend with a client or of a friend, I will also be thinking about what we've discussed.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You.